Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. Like, share, and subscribe. This podcast is sponsored by the following. Remington, made with pride in the USA. Iconic American impact. Wenig custom gun stocks. Head on down for your custom fitting. Remember, winners shoot Wenig. Shot Tracker, like having a coach on your barrel. For more info, go to takeaimtech.com. Life is too short to miss. RM Shooting Clinics, helping shooters from coast to coast. Have Ricky take your game to the next level. Zach Nanini at Northwestern Mutual. Trusted advice from someone you know. We believe in putting people first. Other supporters for Trap Talk. The Nevada State Trapshooting Association. Don't miss their 75th annual state shoot this October in Las Vegas. The NSTA puts on some great shoots, and they're going big for this year's state. Go to nvtrap.com to check out their program and all other shoots as well. Welcome to another episode of Trap Talk. We've got our co-host, Richard Marshall Jr., and we've got our guest today, Eric Munson. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Ricky, could you please introduce our guest?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Eric Munson here with us. I've known Eric, I think, since I first started shooting in '88. Eric's been shooting since 1981. And real quick, today's Eric's birthday, so happy birthday, Eric.
Thank you.
And so Eric is the son of Bob and Luann Munson, Hall of Fame shooters, as everybody I'm sure in the shooting world knows the Munson last name. But Eric was inducted to the Minnesota State Hall of Fame in '06, and then the ATA Hall of Fame in 2016. He's won 4 Grand American World Championships. 3 of those were doubles. I think I've been in 2 of those with him, and I know one of them I dutched a pair, but that's another story. And at '07, the last doubles Eric won, he also won the all-around that year. So Eric's also, he was a 3-time junior All-American included in that 24 times. So Eric's broke over, I think, 100 in doubles. He's got 100 in handicap, which gives him his Grand Slam, which is awesome. So welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you very much.
Well, Eric, coming from a family of shooters, I'm assuming Bob, at least, and maybe Luann both shot a lot before you started shooting. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Dad started in '69, and then Mom started in '71, shortly after my sister was born, I believe.
Okay. So what was that like getting into shooting, coming from a background of such great shooters? I mean, walk us through what your mindset was and really how you got into the game.
Well, being a kid in the outdoors and living out in the country in Minnesota, you got a BB gun in your hand 24/7, it seems like, once you're old enough and parents give you one. But okay, you go to a shoot every weekend. The only thing you want to do is you want to be out there with Mom and Dad sooner or later. And they finally gave me a 20 gauge, a little, I believe it was a Savage single shot that they let me finally shoot. I think I got to shoot 23 shots one day, and I think I took 12. And Dad said, "Yeah, you know what? We'll do it a couple more times." Well, within 2 years, and I had a mom PT, and I was starting to shoot every weekend. So
that sounds awesome. So in that time, BB gun was the start, and then you just got into it. And was it right into ATA, or was it more just practice at the gun clubs, or what were you doing?
I probably shot practice at the gun clubs for maybe a couple of years it was, but I remember '81. It was a year in training beforehand that, go out to 1 round, 2 rounds, and come on, Dad, I can go shoot 3 rounds, and okay, we'll get back to the practice trap. And then in '81, I shot my first singles at Minnesota State shoot, broke in '81, and man, I was happy after breaking that '81. Man, you feel pretty good. But couldn't wait for the next weekend to come out.
So did you have like an immediate, I'm hooked to the game right when you started, or did it take time to build a love for it?
Oh no, I wanted to shoot every weekend. Once I was cleared that I could go shoot, I could handle 100 targets, I wanted to go every weekend. I wanted to shoot every day if I could.
Now, Eric, did you practice a lot then? Or how many ATA shoots did you shoot, your first couple years?
Oh, the first year I only shot like 900 targets.
Okay.
Minnesota State shoots in July. I only shot July, and then I think right after the Grand. I didn't get to go to the Grand the first 2 years I shot. And then the second year, I was shooting as many targets as I am right now. I mean, Dad was paying for it. Heck, Dad's paying for it. I'm shooting. So I mean, it was. We were shooting league on Wednesday nights. I mean, I could go out to the practice ground at league, and every weekend we were hitting the trap range. I mean, it was around here. I mean, every weekend we shoot from basically the first weekend of May till the end of or the beginning of September. So
I know it's been a minute since you started that, but when you were practicing in those days, were you just shooting as many targets as possible, or were there things you were working on, or what was going on in your young years of shooting?
I believe that back then it was just I just shot as much as I could whenever I could. There was no real practice trap. I really haven't shot practice for years unless I absolutely have to, but it basically came really natural.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a natural thing, being as your family's all Hall of Famers, so maybe you just have a natural knack, that hand-eye coordination for shooting.
Yeah, it could have been.
Now, Eric, when you started in 81, so 81, 82, you shot the state shoot, so 83 was your first Grand?
83 was my first Grand. I went down there, and actually, Dad and I went there and child on Monday during the class singles.
Oh, not your first year.
Yeah, my first year, we broke a 398. I missed it too. So,
yeah, your dad is more known for singles and doubles shooting, of course.
Yeah,
and then he won the Grand American Handicap 1 year with 100 straight.
So, yeah, that was the best year he ever shot handicap too. If you ever look at his averages, he had it right up there that year. It was going to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely, but. So, and you're mainly known as a double shooter. Like I said, you won 3 doubles championships. You won the all around, but you broke good singles and good handicap scores. But I remember over the years just shooting, against each other, the double. I mean, you were always 199, and that's what made you become such a great double shooter?
Ricky, it's just something that happened. I don't know why it happened, but I shot decent singles for a long time. But then the handicap has never been great up until, I would say, the last 5 years. Yeah. But I mean, right now I feel I'd rather go shoot handicap today than shoot anything else. Where 15 years ago, throw me doubles targets every day. I don't care about shooting anything else.
Yeah.
Only singles. But why something clicked with doubles? I have not a clue what it was. For about 5 years there, it was fun. It was absolutely put so much pressure on myself at our state shoot. I think I wish I had a state program in front of me, but I think I got 5 years in a row where I broke 100 and I won the state doubles 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
I had so much pressure on myself when I walked out there, even more than I do at the Grand. After I've won a couple, you still put a lot of pressure. I want another one. But the state shoot, I'd be sick to my stomach the night before. Yep. Even when you hit the line, you can't go. You miss one on the first post, and it's okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, no, that is true. Now, and that's one thing. I shoot my state shoot once every like 4 or 5 years, occasionally. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I remember as a kid shooting with Frank Hoppy. When I got to shoot with his squad, and you get out there and you're like, and you always knew that, okay, if you're high on the squad, you're probably going to win the event.
Yeah.
And so and it would always be like the first post, I'd be like, okay, how's the show going to go? But the state, and it's weird, and you're right, the state shoot, that feeling, I think it is. There's a lot of pressure. Well, coming, you're a Munson, so yeah. You're kind of expected to shoot well, no matter what. And that and just everything the state shoots. And I don't know, Zach, if you feel that way shooting at your state shoot, but I know I did as a kid. I'd go out there and I'm thinking, okay, don't screw this up.
Yeah. Even today, I mean, we get done shooting on Friday in our state shoot doubles. I'll be jumping the golf cart, be heading back. I'll have 3-4 guys. They'll say, "You get them again today?" No, not today. Come on, what's going on? Didn't have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So So now I remember, Eric, you used to shoot. So I used to shoot about a 16.5-inch length of pole, and you used to shoot a little bit longer length of pole.
It was up until that 5-6 years ago when I had a little problem, and it was rolling my hip far into the gun.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was at the Missouri State Shoot and went down to Wenig. I said, I got a problem. We got to fix something here. I told Bobby what was going on. No, we can fix that. And the next day I was out shooting practice with a 15-inch length of pole. We tore an inch and a half off the end of the stock.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
Still shoot that one today, so.
Yeah. Well, and what do you think? Do you think that helped with your handicap? Because I know before, all of us, that shot starting in the 80s, you always shot, kind of looking at the tops of your eyes.
Oh yeah. And then I got too far over and it blacked out.
Yeah. And that's why I know when I went to like the Trap Special Krieghoff, I shortened my length of pole a little bit, but you got your eyes up a little leveler. And honestly, I think that's when my handicap also came up a little bit was, you could see him a little better.
Oh yeah. I mean, in the last 2 years, I've been having so much fun shooting handicap because as long as and you taught me this one,
yep.
When you were up doing clinics, when I had you doing clinics.
Yep.
But you came out, if you remember the time I was out shooting a handicap practice and you came out and grabbed the remote,
yep.
And you're playing with it, turning the machine on and off, and you're laughing and telling everybody, hey, don't know what Munson's doing out there. You see how far he's moving that gun? You don't do that.
Yeah. Anticipation
out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is that the home club that you've always shot at in Monticello?
Yeah, Monticello is where it's my home club.
Yeah, that's where Eric had me up doing a lesson. That's been
that's 15 years ago.
Yeah, 15 or 16 years ago. And stuff. That's when I had there was a cattle prod there. Someone had a cattle prod. And they said, here, use it on Eric. And I was like, are you crazy? He's got a gun.
Yeah.
People.
And he knows how to shoot it too.
Telling me to do that though, but I mean,
yeah.
So you said that your double success kind of came naturally to you, Eric, and I've watched you shoot a lot of doubles. You're pretty fast. I mean, did you mean to be that fast, or is that something that's kind of came into it? Or
I've gotten faster over the years, I believe. When I first started shooting the doubles, Mom used to shoot post 4 in front of me all the time, and I would mimic her shooting all the time. She's the one that truthfully taught me my speed and everything for the doubles going. And she could hold out that second bird, and I got to be able to hold out the second bird. And finally, I just got into a deal where I learned how to shoot them different, where it's not like a trap on the first target, but you see it, you go to it, but you don't trap it. Because a whole gun about that foot and a half over the house, you see the bird come out, and I'm trying to pull the trigger as soon as I see it. It's not a trap, but I'm still moving the gun towards it. I shoot that first one as fast as the person can, and then the second one's just like shooting a single target.
I see. So Eric, you said, you shoot that first one really quickly, and then you kind of shoot the second one as a single target. That's how you were shooting them in your best. I know now it's just bang, bang, but then, I mean, was it trying to be able to really look at that second target, or what were you trying to do?
When I was shooting my best, it was like the second target, you'd see it, go over to it. The first one be broke, you just go to the second one and shoot it like a single target. So I wasn't shooting it as fast as I am today.
Okay. So do you think that the speed hurts you, or do you think that you've gotten so good because you still run hundreds? I mean, I see you in shoot-offs, but do you think
I can still break one once in a while, but I haven't broke anything like I did in the years past.
The consistency.
Yeah, the consistency. I mean, I'll break 9s and 8s and 7s. I mean, every time I walk out, it seems like I can break a 7 or higher, but to break that hundo is harder for me now.
I see. Now, were you a guy that always shot like better on a targets that was pretty consistent, or were you a kind of guy that could just hunt out even in a windy day and targets were moving around?
The wind was my friend. In the day when, bring on the wind. I mean, I love to shoot in the wind because that brings me back to the time when the way I used to shoot behind Mom, I could shoot that first target fast, and I could take my time on the second one. I don't think I have the trigger control like I used to back when I was 30, 35 years old than I am today.
Okay. So you talk about trigger control. Are you shooting a pull or are you shooting a release now at your stage?
It's pull, double pull.
So you've shot pull your whole life and never needed to switch.
Yep, never needed to.
Okay. And have you ever dealt with flinches or dominancy problems or anything like that in your career so far?
You got the dad calls it the do good flinch, where you're flinching with your left hand on the gun and not your right hand. Being right-handed, your trigger opposite of your trigger is the one that's flinching.
So you do that, like you cover up the target and dip down, kind of that thing.
Yeah, you'll do that.
That's called the Rich Bullard flick.
Great. Now we're going to talk about Bullard now.
So Eric, you said pretty, 1 foot, 2 foot over the house on that first shot, and you're just seeing it, letting it come up and driving through it, or are you low, or what's your spot?
I see it. I got my set spot where I'm at, and it's pretty much where Vanillas back in the early 80s. I took his clinic, and he's the one that, this is where you want to hold the gun, and I've held it through the whole time. I mean, where the birds come out, on post 1 and 5, that the target's going to be going into the trap house. On 2 and 4 is going out, same way on 3. So that's what way you hold the target, or where you hold the barrel on the target when it comes out.
So are you letting it on 1 and 5? Are you letting it come to your barrel a little bit more? Or are you
a little bit, but I'm still moving. I'll chase it a little bit, but not very much.
Not very much. So you're thinking little move so that you don't have so much energy going one direction before you go the other.
Yeah.
Okay. Now is handicap the same way as far as hold point and height? Are you up above the house, or
I have to be below the house in handicap? Lower on 1 and 2, and then I can bring it up to pretty much to the top of the house when I get to 3, 4, and 5.
So how about singles? Is it the same, or is it high again?
Singles. I have, in the last couple of years, I've had the hardest problem with left angles. Every single one haunts me when it comes out.
Really?
So you're low again so that you can be under that angle and you're not cutting it off. Yep. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I can see it when it comes out. Otherwise, if I get too high, even to the top of the house, if a left angle comes out, I'm in trouble.
Well, and I have that same problem. If I'm on the corner of 1 and that target comes out below my gun, sometimes I want to throw at it, versus if I can bring that gun down a little bit and it's flying over the top of my rib, then I can see that line and I can just track that line out wherever it's going.
Yeah, I can just go up to it. It's pretty easy if I remember to keep the gun down, but that's the hardest part. How much your mind takes over.
Yeah. And one thing, like you talk about the left angles, and for our listeners out there, a lot of people do this. When I'm teaching a lot, I see it. Guys, they get their men or women, they get their gun up a little too high. And when the left angle comes out, they want to move up a little bit and then over. Is what happens is they either block the target or the left eye takes over. Yeah. And that's when it just happens so quick. And they're like, well, I was on it. I'm like, well, yeah, you were about
that far behind
it, you know? And they're like, well, what do I need to do? And I'm like, well, it's not working for you to be on the house. So just when the target comes out, just go straight across the house. So the target's rising. Oh, you see it. And then you just come right up through the line of the target and break the target. And they're like, well, I'll try it. I just taught a lesson yesterday to 2 kids. And one of the kids, I had to tell him that. And he's like, well, I said, just try it. He smokes 5 left angles off 1 on the 25-yard line. He turns around, looks at me, and he goes, well, why have I been doing it the other way? And I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems so easy.
So that's that lateral left to right movement that keeps the gun under. Now, I think, does that matter a lot for you too in doubles, Eric? I mean, is it all about that left to right movement, or in the up and down kind of happens the last second?
No, in doubles, it pops and it just goes. I can move to the left really easy in doubles. I don't know why it is. I know where the bird's going to be at. I got to get there. So
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
It could be something with, just the clarity of the target. In doubles, okay, it's there. So you swing to a certain area and then you run across. There it is. Versus it's a left angle in singles. It almost like scares you. So you have that in your subconscious mind, like, don't throw me a left. And you're going to 5 less.
You walk over, and I start on 5 and I walk over to 1. Many times I've walked over to 1 and missed number 6 on a trap.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's not a good thought for a listener.
I'll be the only one for the 100. It's like, what?
Do not have that thought walking over to one.
Yeah.
That's when you get on a 4-man squad and you don't have anybody on one that goes to 2 and you just walk right to 2. Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, I've seen people do that.
That's not a recommendation, listeners.
No,
Yeah.
no. But listen, at the Grand American one year, I was sitting down there shooting practice, and this guy, this was in Vandalia, okay? You remember, Eric, how we used to sit there on the benches and wait?
Oh, yeah.
And I got up, and I was shot lead off, but there was a guy sitting on the 1, so I was like, screw it, I'll just go to 5. So I go to 5, and I'm like, oh, so I walk down to 1, I shoot, we go along, and I don't think there was someone on 3. Anyways, this guy walks from 5 and he goes to 2, and I'm like, no, sir, you want 1? He goes, I don't like post 1. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, I get on short squads, and if no one's on 1 when it's my turn to go there, I just go to 2. And I'm like, what? I looked at him and I was like, are you serious? And you could tell he was. And then he goes, I'm just kidding. And I'm like, oh no, you weren't kidding. I'm thinking, I was like, I need to watch this guy.
We need to report this guy.
Yeah, I'm like, but it's funny is, so you talk about certain things like that. This is a little off the topic, but yesterday at my son's high school practice, one of the guys was there. He shoots a little bit ATA, and he goes, I got a question. This got brought up, and Zach, I don't know if it happened at the Spring Grand. We weren't there. Zach and I were you at the Spring Grand, Eric?
No.
Okay. Well, supposedly some guys shot doubles, and I know the rule, but they were like, hey, so they're shooting doubles, and they just kept shooting. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, it's illegal. They should have been disqualified. And I said, well, did they shoot out of turn? Did they shoot out of rotation? And did they move wrong? What happened? They're like, no, they shot like 9 pairs off 1 post. I said, as long as they're in order, I said, they could shoot all 50 pairs.
Yep.
And they were like, what? And I'm like, it's in the, and guy got the rule book, and he goes, how'd you know that? I said, when I started shooting, my dad said, you want to do this? Better know the rules.
Yep.
So it is funny. There is some stuff out there that people are, and I've had it happen to me with Pat McCarthy, of all people, leading off. He shot 6 pairs on a post, and we changed, and he goes, now you can be lead off.
Yep. Bob's done that. Bob did that in the shoot off at I believe Southwestern Grand or the Spring Grand sometime. He did that.
Oh, really?
They wanted to reshoot it. He said, you go look at the rule book. I'm done. He said, I shot up there.
Yeah. We're good. I only got 1 left. So, but
that's funny.
So, Eric, on another topic, do you have a favorite gun club that you like to shoot at, or?
I really don't. I mean, traveling around in that, I've been starting to hit some new ones now. Last year, Southwestern Grand moved to Kansas, so I went down there.
Yeah.
Didn't shoot that well down there. Ended up fighting for the handicap the last day, which was unbelievable that came out. But I took off because it was a 12-hour drive home, and I wanted to get home. So
yeah.
But I'll take the runner up today. So, but San Antonio was always fun. Always had a good time there. Always hit good targets up in the air. The old Vandalia was a blast. I mean, you will never see a place like that again.
No.
But I like our home club up here in Alex, where we have our state shoot. We started to get a little bit of visibility around, but every place I shoot at, I don't have to shoot the trees. And as long as I don't have to shoot the trees, I love the club.
So you're not a fan of tree backgrounds?
Oh, no. It's a little tough for me to go to Missouri once in a while. If it in the fall, when you get the trees in there and that they start to change colors, it's a little tougher to see the birds and that. But
yeah,
actually, it's a little tougher. It makes the guy work a little bit harder and makes the paycheck come back a little bit better.
Yeah, because you seem to shoot Missouri pretty well. I mean, I've shot with you there. We had a squad last year where we both shot pretty good, and I mean, I remember you banging them up pretty solid. So
I'll tell you, Missouri State shoot. I can shoot the Missouri State shoot quite well almost every year. Seems like it rains every year, but
yeah, everything's really green at the state shoot versus the fall handicap. You've got that color change where you got a little bit of orange in that background and that brown with that clay target, and I think that makes more of a difference.
The more times that target has to go through different colors, the harder it is to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've shot Missouri a lot. I'll miss the state shoot this year because they moved it up and later. And
same way as me.
Yeah, we leave that weekend, actually on that Friday, to head to Vernal for the Western Grand.
Yep.
So you've never been out to Vernal, have you?
Yep, I shot there once.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
about
I
3
was
years
I,
ago I
we
went
were,
out.
I was there when you were there that year.
That's right.
It was the COVID year, Eric. I mean,
Yep.
I remember
Yeah.
Bullard was out there with me and we shot together, and then
Yeah,
I seen you.
Yeah, I came out there with the buddy from Monticello. We drove out there, and the last
That's-
second deal, we went out, and
Yep.
John didn't tell us the right way on how to get to the club, so we came in from the north through the gorge up on the top.
Oh, yeah. That's a fun drive.
Oh yeah, pulling a 40-foot fifth wheel behind you. No thank you.
Oh, bueno.
No, he
Not
didn't
my
do you any
deal. I
favors.
got the drive last hour.
Yeah, I remember coming down that one time with Frank Hoppy pulling just a little travel trailer. And I was like, and Frank's like, I don't know what's all these brakes. And I'm like, and I looked out the window and it was dark and everything was glowing. That's because the brakes were on fire. Oh, I'm like, we're not gonna stop. There's no way we're gonna stop. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is bad.
We drove out there, and the guy on his whip, he's out there pointing down in the bottom, saying, "Oh, look at that! There's a whitetail down there. There's another whitetail." And I'm like, "I'm not looking."
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah, and it's Vernal. So that I remember that year, the COVID year. That's when Rich Bullard was wearing his pre-COVID suit. You remember that, Zach?
Yeah,
I do.
He wore that shirt. He walked by, and I said, "Oh, Rich, that's a pre-COVID shirt you got there." And he's like, "That's not funny."
yeah.
So, Eric, we've talked about your hold points. We've talked about your style. How about equipment, guns? I mean, are you a tight choke guy, loose choke guy? I mean, what kind of gun do you shoot? Give us the rundown.
Well, I got a RF-10. I got that back in '99, right after they came out.
Yeah.
Dad and I both got them at the same time, and I've had that. Well, when I got it, Tommy Wilkinson set it up for me right off the bat. It's like Ricky said earlier, remember the practice trap? Set it down to the practice trap, and we sat there, and Tommy was playing with the stock, playing with the whip, and we got Tommy. He says, "Okay, take," and Tommy took the guns home, and he choked them out for us, and he sent them back. Don't mind. He said, "Do not touch it. Whatever you do, don't move anything." And I never moved it. It shoots probably 80-20. I suppose the single barrel does, and the over and under shoots about 60-40.
So a little flatter.
Yeah, a little flatter, but not a whole lot.
And do you feel like you have to drive harder in single and doubles then, or do you feel like it's just natural?
It's natural. Yeah.
Okay.
But the single barrel, it is tight. There's no doubt about that.
It's probably
Yeah, I mean, you
30,
grind them,
30
that's for sure.
Yeah, it's probably like 37, 38 thousandths or something like that. Probably.
I'm sure it's 36 for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how when I had mine and Tommy did my chokes that time, it was 37 on the unsingle, and it was like 18 and 28 on the over and under.
Yeah, my over and under is 20 and 30.
Yep.
20 and 30, I just think 20 and 30 is the best choke out there for doubles. I mean, I like that the best. I've always had the best breaks with that.
Yeah, because at that time, and still today, every once in a while I'll still do it, but if it was shooting paper 8, light 8 for both shots and doubles, and he said, "That's what you're going to shoot, and this is what I'm going to choke it at for you."
Yeah. Yeah, I shot back then when I had my gun done by him, years ago before I switched to the Krieghoff. It was 18 and 28. I was shooting the light 8s and then shooting the handicap 7.5s, and he's like, it's good. And it was. I think that gun, I broke like 85 or 600s and doubles with it. It was, and Tommy, a shout out to Tommy Wilkinson. I think he's getting ready to hang it up a little bit. Everybody always says, but he does awesome barrel work.
Oh yeah, real good barrel work.
So are you light on both shots and doubles, Eric? You don't use a heavy on the second shot?
Nope, just light 8s on both shots. And this last year, I've actually started experimenting with some 1 ounce on the first shot.
Okay, so even lighter. Just now,
Just
are you
lighter
thinking
to
because
stay with the gun a little bit easier.
stay with the
Are you
gun?
going to a recoil reduction system too now, or what? Is that what happens when you get to your birthday, or what?
Yeah, and you'll grasp me now even more too, because I don't shoot the handicaps anymore in handicap. I'm
Yeah.
3 drivers for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they obviously work.
Oh yeah, I mean,
And I've always shot light for doubles, and I mean, I know a lot of shooters do shoot light for doubles. I didn't even see people shoot light heavy until I got to the Midwest. Like that was like that, like Ricky and Leo and a few others were like, wow, they shoot light heavy. But back in California, everybody shot light.
Light. Yeah, and when I found out that that's what Sean and Harlan were shooting with light, I'm like, well, heck, I can do that. So that's what I started shooting. And that's when everything really took off for me.
Yeah. It does help. I mean, I've always shot the light heavy. It doesn't really bother me much, but like I've been shooting a lot of sporting clays, the last few years, a lot more than I have. And I actually switched in sporting to shooting 1 ounce 1250, the little rhino that Fiocchi makes, because I patterned them. I compared them and I was like, yeah, it is a little bit less kick. And, at that, I'd go out in a station and, in sporting, next thing you know, you're shooting 150 practice and you haven't even left the station. So, it gets a little rough on the shoulder when you're shooting, flats of 1250, ounce and an eighth.
So Eric, question for you. You've won 3 rings in doubles, 1 ring in the all around. You're in the Hall of Fame in the ATA, Hall of Fame in your state. You've done all this stuff, right? What do you do as far as future goals? Like a guy like you's got a pretty impressive career. How do you stay motivated to do it every single year? And what are the things that you're trying to do now?
Just trying to get out to shoot another good score, really. I mean, every time I go out, if I can get through that first 2 posts, I'm going to pound at it. I'm going to fight till I get a good score in there. I've learned, even if you miss 1 or 2, if it's a windy day in a handicap, an 8 show really looks good. And I proved myself last year down in Kansas that even that 97 the last day, I missed the last one out for a 97 that day. Could have had a loner.
Hey, it would have been a lot better to drive home with that champ trophy instead of that shoot off that you missed, but it happens. I've missed a lot of last birds.
I left. I thought, heck, I had a 97. Somebody's gonna pop in better than that. So
it happens. I mean, we've all been there, and it sucks, and it's not fun. But I mean, it is what it is. What do you do, right? I mean, you go back and get to the next one. But I think just the fact that even after all the things you've won, you're like, you know what? I'm just going out to pound targets. You're just going out to pound events, and whatever happens, and you obviously love it. So
I do. I really want to win the handicap at our state shoot. I'd love to. If I ever do, you don't know. I mean, I want another doubles one at our state shoot. Singles is the hardest one to get. I mean, singles are tough.
Now, have you won every other title at your state?
I've won everything but the handicap.
So that's the last to get all 5.
Yeah. And I've even broke a 99 at our state shoot in handicap. Walked back and said, hey, I'm looking pretty good for this. And Jenzy breaks the 100 that day.
100.
Oh, Scott Jens. That's not very nice.
And every day, every time that I pop in to get score in the handicap, I walk up, Jenzy break. Hit me by 1. So,
hey, when you see those cut off sleeves going to the line, you know he's going to hit something.
Yeah.
He pounds targets, that guy. I don't know. I mean, I've seen it. I was like, damn, he's a good shot. First time I seen him, I just thought to myself, hey, that guy's, a shooter. And then I watched him and I'm like, holy crap. This guy is
Zach, I had to run around behind him for how many years around here? Every time he's there.
Yeah, I've never seen him wear a collar or a sleeve, but he pounds targets.
Yeah. Now, Eric, what's your shooting schedule looking like for the rest of this year?
This year here, let's see, we're in early April right now, so I'm not doing anything for ATA shooting. My next big shoot will be, June. I got 3 or 4 little clubs around here in Minnesota that I'll hit. Minnesota State shoots the first weekend in July. I'm going to have a weekend off. Then I'm going to Iowa.
Okay.
Then probably the weekend off, like when the Central Zone is, I'll have that weekend off, and I'll head down to the Grand on Monday. Shoot the whole Grand is my plan. I'll only shoot 3 more pounding shoots for the All-American team this year.
Yeah.
For this year. So I'll have my 5 shoots like I always do.
5 shoots and make the team. That's the classic way to do it, right?
Yeah, if I had 7, maybe I could make the first team. So
I guarantee you could. If you
Yeah.
win all 7, you
it
could do it.
seems like I had no problem making that second one, but I just got those last 2 shoots and I could hop in with the first.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you could, Eric. I mean, you're obviously great.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. There's going to be something coming down the line here. Maybe I get a couple more shoots in during the year too. So.
Now, is it work that holds you back from going to a couple more shoots, or
Yeah, work does.
what do you do?
Well, I work at it used to be the family-owned business, and they sold out the Land O'Lakes and a couple other co-ops around here. But I'm the FDA type inspector for the mill, actually.
Well, that's good. You got to make sure the mill's running right.
Yeah, I basically do all the checks and balances when the FDA inspector does come through the door. I take him underneath my arm and we go around and try to get him out of here as fast as we can. So
that's good. I like
you
it.
need some. You're always like, carry a little cash with you.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. They don't even take a bottle of water anymore. So
Jeez,
they think you're bribing them.
Yep, that's right.
Well, Eric, is there anything that you'd like to share with the listeners? Anything that you think would be helpful or good advice that you would give to them if they're either starting or maybe they've been shooting a few years and they're looking to get better?
Yeah, you know what? You treat every target like a tough target. Always have fun. Never give up. I always remember that. Ricky, I suppose you remember at the old ground down on the east end, there was a guy that had sold reducers or something down there.
Yeah,
pretty sure. With the frog in the crane's mouth that said "Never give up."
Never give up.
Yep, I always remember that. Every time I always think of "Never give up," I think of that frog in there.
And that's great advice. Is there any sponsors that you'd like to thank, or anybody that you'd like to thank before we get out of here tonight?
Well, the best one is Mom and Dad. I mean, Mom, I could not be where I'm at without them. They've done everything for me. They helped me get going. It's been awesome. I mean, we travel together. I shoot with Dad as much as I possibly can. I know Mom is retired now. Dad's getting up there. I mean, Dad will be 77 or 77. I think he just turned now. He's still pounding them, but I got to go see him next week. He's going to get his shoulder work done. His left one now. Well, but thank Mom and Dad. Jerry from Silent Treatment Hearing Protection, wonderful guy. Get my plugs from him. Can't thank Federal enough for all the stuff that they've done for us and the family and that. And Wenig, when I had my problem in Missouri, how Wenig came up and helped me. So,
well,
absolutely.
And that's wonderful. And say hi to your dad and mom for us, and tell your dad we hope that his soldier surgery goes well. And then when he's healed up, we would love to have Mom and Dad on the show if they'd like to be on, because they're a wealth of knowledge. Maybe you could tell them about your experience, and we'll get them on here sometime in the future when they're ready for it.
We can get them on there and they can argue or something. And,
they will. Mom will run the show and Dad will be, what are you talking about?
Exactly. We could do like split screens and it was great to see your dad down there, but it was tough. I didn't get to see your mom, so.
Yep.
Well, we'd like to thank our show sponsors for supporting us. Obviously, Wenig, they help Eric, help us, help everyone around. They're good people. Remington, Shot Tracker, and the one and only Richard Marshall Jr. Shooting Clinics. Go get a clinic. He'll show you how to hit a doubles target. I don't know if it's as good as Eric Munson, but I mean, he's pretty good. So it's been real fun tonight. We really enjoyed speaking with you, Eric, and you have a happy day. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Eric.
Hey, thanks, Ricky.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to Trap Talk.